So, you're wanting to shed some weight from your backpack, huh? Well, I'm here to help. We're going to start off with paying attention to the big three. Now, if you've never heard of that, the big three would be your shelter system, it would be your sleep system, and it would be your backpack. So let's start with the backpack. This backpack that I'm wearing weighs about 4 pounds and 5 ounces. And I have some stuff in here I'm going to show you throughout the video as well, but the point is that you don't have to go with a heavy backpack like this. Let me show you a different example. These backpacks are actually about the same size liter-wise. They hold about 60-65 liters or so, and they both have frames in them. But like I said, this one weighs 4 pounds, 5 ounces. This one weighs 2 pounds, 5 ounces. So make sure you shop around whenever you're buying your backpack. The first thing that I'm going to help shed weight off my backpack is losing these trekking poles. Now we're going to talk more in just a second about trekking poles, because depending on which ones you pick, it can help lighten your load. But there's two things I want to show you in here. The first is a sleeping bag. This sleeping bag in particular, of course, it zips all the way up around you just like any other sleeping bag, and it has a hood on it so it can help keep you a little warmer, and it is rated for 15 degrees survival temperature, so maybe comfortable in the 20s. This thing weighs 2 pounds 12 ounces. I have an alternative for you. If you want to shed some weight, what you can use instead is a sleeping quilt. A sleeping quilt, notice that there's no zipper. It's just got a big gap here. And what that does is cut out the part of the sleeping bag that you would be laying on top of, because when you're compressing the insulation, it's not keeping you any warmer anyway. Now there are a couple of straps on here that you can strap around your pad or around your body if you're laying in a hammock, and no hood either on this sleeping quilt. So all of that is shedding weight. Now this thing weighs 1 pound 15 ounces. So almost a pound difference between it and the sleeping bag. There's no catch. This thing is a 0 degree sleeping quilt. So it's actually going to keep you warmer if you know how to use it correctly, because it cuts away all that extra stuff that you don't need from the sleeping bag. On your big three, we've talked about the pack, we've talked about the sleep system. Now let's talk about your shelter system. I'm holding trekking poles because I want to mention something about the shelter system. Most people are going to be using a tent. I love it and I love a hammock, but if I'm using a tent, the first thing that I think of is some pieces of fabric that are sewn together, and then you have some poles that you kind of put in sleeves along the sides of the tent, and that holds the tent up. Well, if you want to shed some weight, I have an alternative for you. You could use what's called a non-freestanding tent. And non-freestanding means something has to help hold it up, and that's where trekking poles come in. A lot of people call them trekking pole tents. Most of the time you'll have one under each side, unless it's just a single trekking pole tent, and then you'll have some way to stake it out, some guy lines or something like that, and that will help hold tension on the tent and hold your tent up. Now I'm telling you all this because not only are you shedding weight by not having to carry those poles, you're also getting the benefit of having carbon fiber trekking poles. And yes, the ones that I'm using are by Nature Hike. They are carbon fiber. They have foam handles, they got the straps, and they are totally adjustable. Another thing I love about them is they have the clip locks, so whenever I'm adjusting them, I can get them to the perfect height where I have the right angle at my elbow. Another benefit of the carbon fiber trekking poles is it's not aluminum, so it's going to be a little bit lighter, and that's helping shed some weight. These I think are just as durable as the aluminum poles. Aluminum poles will bend on you. These poles can snap on you, so either one's going to be fairly durable, but like I said, the carbon fiber helps you shed a little bit of weight depending on the brand that you buy, so I'd highly suggest checking these out. Our next stop is in the kitchen, baby, because that is a great place to shed some weight. This cook pot is totally different than the one I started with. I used to use an aluminum cook pot. This thing is so much lighter. With the lid included, this Moby Garden titanium cook pot and lid weighs 93 grams. That's about as ultralight as it gets. 450 milliliters, that's enough water if you're going to boil it and pour it into maybe a rehydrating meal or something like that. It's probably not a great fit if you're somebody that's needing to cook inside of that cook pot. It's awesome for boiling water. Maybe you can do some ramen or something in there, and it pairs perfectly with this stove. This stove is also ultralight, coming in at only 51 grams. The little case that it comes with, most of the time I just never use those. I don't feel the need to carry the extra weight whenever I'm headed out to the trail, because I like to take my stove and put it inside of my cook pot. This one will actually fit in there because it is collapsible. All the legs that are going to hold your cook pot will collapse in. It doesn't have a striker on it, so all you have to do is screw it onto any isobutane propane canister that has the right thread size, and then you turn it on, take your lighter, and voila, we have fire! Now, this stove working together with the cook pot is going to save you a ton of weight, and it actually, I'm linking it, my trekking poles, and the cook pot stove, all that in the description below, because they are from today's video sponsor, which is AliExpress. They have a huge sale coming up November the 1st through the 11th, where they have 90% off on all kinds of categories on the website. You can actually use my code JSH9 to get 15% off of your order if you're placing an order on there, because why would you pay more? AliExpress has all that you need. So make sure to go to the site, check them out. Like I said, I'm going to have links in the description so you can check out the different products and take advantage of that sale. So thank you, AliExpress, for giving us a lot of great gear and helping support the channel and keep these videos coming. An absolutely free way to shed some weight from your pack is to get rid of all that extra clothing. My first trip, I brought all kinds of these extra set of clothes, and then I never used them, because you really only need 2 sets of clothing. You need something to hike in and something for whenever you get done hiking. So for example, the clothes that I'm wearing right now would be the perfect instance of what I would wear whenever I got to camp and I wanted to change out of those dirty, sweaty, or possibly wet clothes that I've been hiking in all day, and put on some nice, cleanish clothes in order to feel a little better and to stay warm, to be honest. So get rid of all those extra clothes that you're bringing. Maybe have a couple extra pairs of socks, maybe have an extra pair of underwear, but other than that, I don't really bring any extra clothing because it's too much weight. It's one of the heaviest things in your pack. You know, I mentioned clothes is one of the heaviest things in your pack, but I bet this is the heaviest thing. Every liter of water that you're carrying weighs 2.2 pounds, plus whatever container you're using. So if you got an Nalgene, throw that thing out and take this instead, like a Smart Water bottle, a Life Water bottle, something like that. Do not carry more water than you need, and I use that word very subjectively, okay? You need. So I'll let you determine what you need, but I'm going to be filtering my water whenever I'm backpacking, and I always have a plan in place in order to refill my water while I'm out on trail. And if there's not a place to refill water, I will carry 8-10 pounds of water if I have to. But pay attention to where you're going, have a plan in mind, but don't carry more water than you need, because if you are, you're wasting all that weight that could be some luxurious item that you want to bring. Maybe a camp chair or something like that instead of 30 pounds of water. We talked a lot about gear today, and some of that gear has multiple purposes. For example, if I don't want to bring a pillow with me, I can leave it at home and use my jacket instead. And what I do to make it a little bit more comfortable is I will take my down insulated puffy jacket and I will tuck it all into the hood, because I'm not going to wear it while I sleep. That's what my sleeping quilt is for. So that will tuck in there and make a nice ball for me to lay my head on and get a good night's rest. Another thing could be convertible pants. They zip off at the knee, and now you don't have to bring shorts and pants. You have both kind of built into one. And then lastly, for your multi-purpose gear, you could just use your cook pot as your everything. It's your bowl, it's your cup, it's your plate, and it's your cook pot, so you don't have to bring all those extra things with you. This whole video is about weight, right? Sometimes you got to pay attention to pounds. Sometimes you got to pay attention to the ounces. Whenever you're buying new gear, especially when it's part of your big 3, that sleeping system, your shelter system, and your backpack, pay attention to how many pounds those things are, because those pounds get heavy. But if you're talking about gear that you already have, pay attention to the ounces as well. Start you a log of all your gear. You can either do a paper log, or there's some great websites out there that you can use and log all the weights of your gear. And then whenever you go on a trip, log that as well. Figure out which pieces of gear you're using and you're taking with you. Whenever you get back, if you start seeing a pattern, each trip I'm taking this piece of gear, but I'm never using it, that's weight that you can shed. Leave that at home. Those ounces add up to pounds really quickly. I need your help. Yes, you. I want you to comment below and tell me what are some other things that I should have mentioned in this video in order to shed some weight. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you give me one of these, subscribe to the channel, and kick the notification bell for the latest notifications. Check out AliExpress. Make sure you hit them up, use my discount code, and enjoy.